Hello, let's do the New York Times Medium Sudoku for May 6th, 2024. There's a link in the description if you'd like to try the puzzle yourself in the same software I do. And I'm going to get started right now. Okay, so just for some terminology to make sure we're all on the same page, this is a cell. There's 81 of them in the grid. It's a 9 by 9 grid of cells. Each of these is a cell. We have a row of cells. It's always going to be 9 cells in a row. We have a column. There's 9 cells in a column. And we have a box. 9 cells in every box. The boxes are the ones that are bold denoted. So this is not a box, right? The boxes, there's 9 of them in this grid. Now, Sudoku rules say we cannot repeat a digit in each row, column, or box, or another way to put it, we are going to be placing the digits 1 to 9 exactly once each in every row, column, and 3 by 3 box. So we're going to end up with 9 of each digit in the final result. There's kind of a fourth unwritten rule to Sudoku, which is that there is only one solution. So if we start guessing, we are very much in danger of not getting the correct solution, and we will find some contradiction and have to roll back. Let's not do that. Let's make sure that every digit we place must go there and nowhere else. Okay, so how are we going to get started? Well, another piece of terminology, this is called a band. A row of 3 boxes, we call that a band. And a column of 3 boxes, we call that a stack. It's just a convenient word to use for that geometry there. So we're going to go band by band. There are 3 bands in the puzzle. What do we know about bands? Well, we know that every band has 3 of each digit because it's made up of 3 rows, or if you prefer, it's made up of 3 boxes, both of which say that there's going to be, each one has 1 of each digit, so 3 of them will have 3 of each digit. So there's 3 in total. What we're going to do is we're going to look at the band. We're going to try to find any digits that appear twice in the band, but not a third time that we know of, right? We know where it is in 2 places, and we need to find the third place. We're going to start with that. So I'm going to start in basically what we're going to do is we're going to compare each box against every other box. And if you think about it, that is 3 comparisons. So we need to compare box 1 against box 2, box 1 against box 3, and box 2 against box 3, in some order. If you compare box 3 against box 2, that's redundant with comparing 2 against 3. We're just looking for duplicate digits. So I'm going to start with the box that has the fewest givens, which happens to be box 1 here. So it just has a 2 in it. So I just need to look at box 2 and box 3 for a 2. I don't see it, so that's 2 out of our 3 comparisons already done. Now, between these 2, I'm going to pick the one with the fewer givens. I'm going to think about 3 and 6 and see if they're in this box. I already compared against this one over here. I don't have to look at it. So 3 and 6 over here, I have a 3 and a 6. Okay, so let's take these one at a time. Let's start with the 3. It's the lower number. Doesn't really matter what order, as long as the order makes sense to you and you don't miss anything, right? So if I just go low to high, I know not to miss anything that way. Okay, consistency is kind of key here. So what does it mean that we have 2 out of the 3 of these 3s known in our band? Well, we're going to need one more 3 in the band. And we know a lot about where it needs to go, because it needs to go in the row that doesn't have a 3 yet, and it needs to go in the box that doesn't have a 3 yet. It needs to be in the intersection of those 2, so it needs to be right here. These are the only 3 places in the entire band that still need a 3. And we need a 3, so we need to place a 3 in one of these 3 cells. Now again, we're not going to guess. Now, another way we can see this, and this is kind of a more direct way to see this, is that this box needs a 3, and this 3 says we can't repeat in this row, and this 3 says we can't repeat in this row. And so as a result, since this box needs a 3 and it can't go in these 6 cells, it must go in one of these 3 cells. Same result. But if you can sort of think about things in more than one way, and they both logically make sense and come to the same logical conclusion, that's nice reinforcement that what we're doing is logical. Okay, so all of that said, 3 is going to end up in one of these 3 cells, but we don't know which one. So it'd be nice to have a way to remember that. And that's what notation is good at. Notation is good at reminding you of things that you've already discovered. I don't recommend just blindly notating without having meaning attached to that and memory attached to that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the corner mark mode. This is corner mark mode. This is center mark mode. And I'm going to corner mark 3s in all 3 of these cells. And when I'm always going to use corner marks, consistency. Remember, I'm always going to use corner marks to mean that within the box, it's going to be a box-centric notation. Within this box, the 3 has been limited to these 3 cells, or whichever cells they're in. I'm going to max out at 3. I'm never going to corner mark more than 3 cells in a box. If I would have to, then I just don't corner mark at all. And if it's 3, only if it's in a line. So if they're all in the same row or all in the same column. And if it's down to 2 in the box, I will always mark that. If I discover it's down to 2, that's always worth marking. And so these corner marks will come in handy later. But let's continue. We also have the 6s that repeat. And the 6s do the exact same thing. I'm going to corner mark 6s in here as well. We usually don't end up with more than 3, sometimes 4 of a digit corner marked in a box. So you don't have to worry about running out of corners. I pretty much never do. Unless you're marking too much, then you might run out of corners. All right. So if you do, it kind of tries its best to like keep them around the edges. But I don't think I've ever had that happen in a classic Sudoku. So, all right. So that is it for the repeated digits. Now, the next thing I want you to look for before you move on to the next band, there's basically going to be 3 things to look for. The repeated digit is the first and most important thing. The next thing to look for is if you have a filled box row. So we don't, right? But if for example, if this digit was filled or this digit was filled, we'd have a box row. So a box row being the intersection between a row and a box, a row within a box, right? If we have a filled box row, we have something we can do, or at least look for, but we don't, so we're not gonna. And then also if a row or a box has been reduced to 4 or fewer open cells. So for example, this row is down to 5 open cells, right? It has 4 givens, 9 minus 4 is 5, or you can just count these. 5 we don't care about. It's 4 or fewer that we care about. Now this box from the start has been 4 or fewer. So now's our time to look at it. And the first thing we do, we want to think about what are the 4 missing digits? What are the 4 digits that will end up in these 4 cells? They're the ones that aren't already placed. So the 2, 4, 8, and 9. What we're going to do is we're going to look around here. We're going to look around here for 2s, 4s, 8s, and 9s and see if that's helpful. So what I'm seeing is that this 9 is taking 9 out of these 2. We still need a 9. So there's actually only 2 places in this box for 9. So we can corner mark that. Also, whenever a cell is down to 3 or fewer digits remaining. So this was down to 2, 4, 8, 9. And these can't be 9. So these are down to 2, 4, 8. I'm going to use center markings to remember that. And center markings are the list of candidates that could end up being the value of the cell. So it's a cell centric. Remember the corner marks are box centric. When we look at corner marks, we're thinking about the whole box. Center marks are very, very laser focused on that individual cell. So this individual cell in the final solution will only ever be a 2, 4, or 8. It is the comprehensive list of every digit that this can be. And when that list gets down to 3, that's when I want to center mark it. 3 or fewer. If it gets down to 1, we can just place the digit. So really, it's only ever going to be 2 or 3 candidates listed in a cell at any given time in the center markings. Now this one can't be 2, so it's down to 4, 8, 9. So we can do that. But this cell can be any of 2, 4, 8, 9. So we are not going to mark it. We could do 2, 4, 8, 9 like that, but it gets really, really cluttered when you start just pencil marking every single cell for no reason. We have a reason to do 3. We don't have a reason to do 4. The reason to do 3 is we might find a triple. The reason to do 4 is there is none. We're not worried about quadruples right now. We'll find that some other way. Okay, so that is all we're looking for in this band. We can move on to the next band. So I'm going to start with the box with the fewest givens, the 4 and the 7. Look for 4, 7. Look for 4, 7. Don't see it. And so now I just have to compare these two against each other. 1, 8, 9. I see a duplicate 9. That's all. So these 9s look in. This 9 looks up. So the 9 ends up in one of these two. We can quarter mark that. So that's it for the repeated digits. We're also going to be looking for filled box rows. There are none. And rows or boxes down to 4 or fewer. There are none. All right, we move on to the next band. So I'm going to start with this 1, 5. There are no duplicates. Now this 6, 7. The 7 has a duplicate. So these 7s look in. And now what we have is what we call a hidden single, because the 7 has been reduced to somewhere in these 3 cells, but obviously it's not the 5 and it's not the 1. We can't put more than 1 digit in the same cell. And so we end up with only one place in this whole box that can be 7. And according to Sudoku rules, every box needs a 7. It needs 1 of each digit. And so we must place the 7 here. So we can just immediately place that 7, which is very nice. Okay, so that is the repeats. But now we have a filled box row. We filled up this box row. So here's what you do when you do that. You look at the rows and you look at the box rows that it isn't. So the rows and the boxes that it's not in. The overlap of those. So it's going to be 12 cells, right? You look at these 2 rows, not in this box. So not this row, not this box. And you want to look for any digits. So we don't care about empty cells. We don't care about empty cells. And we don't care about digits that are already in the box. So not the 7s. but the 6 and the 9 are interesting. So there's a few ways to think about it. I like to introduce the virtual buddy first. So we had found real buddies before. Now we're going to find virtual buddies. So notice that none of these 3 cells can be 6. Well, what else would have done that? Well, the other thing that could have done that is a 6 somewhere in this box row that would buddy up with this 6, right? This 6, we can't put a 6 in here. We can't repeat it in the box, but this box does still need a 6. And if it were here, then we'd have the same result. Let's say it was right here, right? Because it can't actually be here, and it can't be here. So in this case, let's say there was a 6 here. With this 6, they would buddy up, and they would take 6s out of here, and there'd need to be a 6 somewhere up here. Well, I can tell you that that is actually true. Everything I just said is actually true. Now, what's the logic there? Well, the logic is that this row needs a 6, right? And it's not going to be here, and this is already filled. So there's only one box that can give a 6 to that row, which is this one. So that virtual buddy that we thought of is real. So actually, we can place this 6, we can corner these 6s. If you prefer, there's another way to think about it. This 6 looks into this box, taking 3 out of these 3, and these 3 happen to not be 6. So these 3 cells are the only 3 cells left for 6. We can definitely corner mark that. This box needs a 6. These are the only 3 places. But now, this does something called pointing, because we know the 6 ends up in one of these 3 cells. In the final solution, this box needs a 6. It'll be here. And all 3 of these cells are in this row, in row 7. Because all 3 6s are in this row, in this box, that means none of the other boxes can have a 6 in that row, right? The 6 is already over here. We can't have another 6 over here. So that's pointing. If you lined up a line between these 6s, it would point at the rest of the row and say no more 6s. If you think about it, no matter which one of these ends up as 6, this could be a 6, or this could be a 6, or this could be a 6. Whichever one ends up as 6, this cell's still not a 6. None of these are. And so this 6 looks in. This is not a 6 because of the pointing 6s, and then this 6 looks down, and we end up placing this 6. And so that virtual buddy is a real buddy, and it always will be in this situation of the filled box row. So however you want to think about that, there's always ways to go back and confirm your logic that you did it right. But if you can internalize that, it can speed up your solve a bit. So that is the filled box row. Oh, we also need to do the 9. So where's the 9 buddy going to be? It's going to be one of these 2, and it's going to end up down here. So we have this 9 here and this 9 here. When we do the scanning for where it ends up in the box, that's when we briefly look up to see if we have any other of that digit. Otherwise, we're kind of hyper-focused on the band. So we can corner mark 9s like that. And the important thing here is it's reminding us that this cell here can't be 9, because we have the corner marks here. If the corner marks are here, this cell, by definition, because it's a comprehensive list of cells in this box that can be 9, we put them here. That means this can't be 9. You can also think about these 9s pointing over. So we're trying to remember that this cell can't be 9 is the most important thing. But we're also remembering that 9 is limited to these 2. Okay, so that is it for buddies and filled box rows. The last thing for this band is rows or boxes down to 4 or fewer. This row is down to 4, so we want to think about it. We need a 2, 3, 4, and 9. So I'm seeing that this cell can't be 4 or 9, so this is only 2, 3. Definitely worth marking. I know this one can't be 9. I have these corner marks, right? So this is 2, 3, 4. This can't be 2, so this is 3, 4, 9. And this can't be 3, so this is 2, 4, 9. Okay. Now, something I'm noticing, there's things you want to try to notice after you center mark a row or column like that. And one of the things I'm noticing is that this 2, 3 is kind of on its own. The total was 2, 3, 4, 9. And we're seeing that in this row, the 4 actually ended up only over here, and they all happen to share the same box. So I can actually corner mark 4s here and say that 4 is going to end up in one of these 3 for the box, and that's because of the row, and that's called claiming. So in this row, we discovered that none of these cells could be 4. So there's only one box that the 4 will end up in, which is one of these 3. It's very similar to pointing. It's kind of the opposite. Pointing is we restricted in the box, which removes from the rest of the row. Here, we restricted in the row, and that removes from the rest of the box. So these cells cannot be 4. And that's what the corner marks are trying to remind us of. I don't see anything immediate to do with that, but it definitely will come in handy to know that. So that is it for this band. There are no more rows or boxes down to 4 or fewer. So now we're going to do the exact same thing. Just imagine rotating the puzzle 90 degrees, right? We're going to do the exact same thing, but with stacks. And so whenever I said row, just say column. Otherwise, it's exactly the same. So I'm going to start with this box. There are no 2s here. We do have buddy ones here. These ones look up. And then now here's where we're going to look over for more ones, right? We see this one here looks in. This isn't a 1. So there's actually only one place left in this box for a 1, which is right here. Now, that removed a 3 corner mark and 6 corner marks. So I want to inspect what happened to my 3 and 6 corner marks. There are still 2 left of each, but this is a situation that I want you to also be on the lookout for, similar to the 4 getting restricted, right? And similar to when we center mark cells, we're looking at certain patterns. When we corner mark cells, we're also looking for certain patterns. And here what we've done is we've discovered a hidden pair. Now, what is a hidden pair? Well, hidden, whenever you have that prefix hidden, it means that we're dealing with either an entire row, column, or box. In this case, it's a hidden in the box. So we're dealing with an entire box here. And what we're saying is that because it's a pair, we're saying that 2 digits have been restricted to the same 2 cells as each other. So why do I know that? Well, look at my corner marks. The 3 is only in one of these 2 cells, and the 6 is only in one of these 2 cells. That's 2 digits that have been restricted to the same 2 cells. So if you think about the final solution here, the final solution of the puzzle, ultimate solution of the puzzle, is one of these will be 3 and one of these will be 6. Because the 3 is going to end up in one of these 2. We can't put the 3 anywhere else, and the 6 is going to end up in one of these 2, and they're not going to end up in the same cell as each other. So we need room for 2 seats, right? We need 2 cells in the box to accommodate the 3 and the 6, and these are the only 2 cells. So I can actually convert those corner marks to center marks. And what the center marks are doing is they're much more powerful. Because what they're doing is they're saying, this is the comprehensive list of digits that can go in this cell. And you might say, well, I thought maybe a 4 could go in this cell, right? If I try to put a 4, it doesn't turn red. There's nothing in the row, there's nothing in the column, there's nothing in the box to say this can't be 4. But I'd say, no, that's untrue, because it has to be a 3 or 6. If it's a 3 or a 6, it's not going to be a 4. It has to be a 3 or 6 because of our hidden pair that we found. So what we want to do is we want to follow up on what we just found. And something that we just did is we basically filled a box row. According to the row, it doesn't care how this 3-6 resolves. We found this 3-6 pair. Because they line up in the row, it does not care how they resolve. If this is 3 or this is 6, or if this is 6 or this is 3, the rest of the row and the rest of the band in general does not care. It's not affected by that situation. So we can think about the 3 and 6 already being placed. And now we can look here and we can repeat our box row strategy here. So we're ignoring anything that's already in the box. 3, 6 already in the box, right? We know where they are. The 1's already in the box, but the 7 is not. So we can see how this 7 looks in, and these are not 7. And this 7 looks up. And so we can actually place 7 in the box now because it was removed from these cells when we found the hidden pair. So that's a 7. And now the 7 has a buddy, or if you prefer, you could have done the virtual buddy at the same time. The virtual buddy is exactly right here. We can place that 7. Very nice. So we're just following up on the band on things we already did. So did we fill up any more box rows? We did not. Did we cause any rows or boxes to be down to 4 or fewer? I would argue, yes, we did. Because again, the row does not care the order this 3-6 ends up in. The 3-6 will end up in some order, and that's going to keep these from being 3-6. So they are down to 4 remaining digits in these 4 cells. What are those digits? They are the 2, 4, 8, and 9. So I'm looking for 2, 4, 8, 9. And I see that 4 and 9 see here. So this is down to 2, 8. This sees an 8. So this is 2, 4, 9. And this is down to 2, 4, 8, 9 still. It still can be any of them. So we knew that from the box. But also this box does not care how the 3, 6 resolves. However they resolve, there will already be a 3 and a 6 in the box. So what are the 4 cells left here? Sorry, 4 digits left here. We need a 4, 5, 8, 9. So I'm seeing that this sees 5, 8. So this is only 4, 9. This sees a 9. This is 4, 5, 8. And I think the rest can be any of 4, 5, 8, 9. So oh no, this one can't be 9 either, right? So this is 4, 5, 8. And so what I just noticed is that this 9 looking up takes it out of 2 of those 4 cells. So we can corner mark 9s here. Now when we do so, we notice that that causes pointing, right? Because it's the 9 is restricted in the box, which then restricts it in the rest of the row. Because wherever the 9 ends up, it will end up in this row, meaning the rest of the row doesn't care which 9 it doesn't care which one ends up 9. Either way, these can't be 9, right? And so importantly, this can't be 9. I'm trying to see if that does anything at the moment. It does. We might want to center mark this cell since it can't be 9. We can omit the 9 from that. Let's just think about it. It can be 2, 4, 5, and that's it. Okay, so can't be 1. It could be 2. It can't be 3. could be 4 and 5. It can't be 6, 7, 8, and it can't be 9 because of the pointing 9s. So 2, 4, 5 is worth marking here. Okay, and that is, I think that's good for following up on that band. We were working on this stack. So let's just keep looking. So we found the 1, we found the duplicate 1s. Now there's a duplicate 7. So we can corner mark 7s here. And the 5 does not have a buddy. We're looking at 1, 8, 9. The 1 we already took care of. 8, 9, there are no duplicates. Okay. Did we fill up any box columns? No, we did not. We did not fill up any box columns. This one's close, but this could be 4 or 9, so we don't quite know what goes there. One thing we could look for, if we wanted to get a little more advanced, is we could look for any digit here that isn't 1, 2, 4, or 9, right? It would have a similar effect, but unfortunately, everything here is already placed in the box or is part of this 4, 9. So we can't actually use that. So no filled box column. Any columns or boxes down to 4 or fewer. We already got this box. This column is not down to 4. This column is down to 5. So yeah, I don't see anything. So we're going to move on to the next stack. So I'm going to start here with the 4, 7. 7s we already have 3 of, so we don't care. 4 does not have a buddy. Then we've got the 3 and the 6. Again, we don't care about 7s. We do have a duplicate 6. So these 6s look in. This 6 looks in. There's a 6 in one of these two. So 3, 6. Okay, the 3 doesn't seem to do anything. Okay, so any filled box columns? No, there are not. Any columns or boxes down to 4 or fewer? I am not seeing any. So we're going to move on to the last stack here. Final stack. So this will finish the first phase of our scanning. Don't worry, we have more things to do if this doesn't finish the puzzle. So 6 and 7 here, we do have all 3 6s. The 7 does have a buddy. And we have this 7 looking in as well. So that places this 7. Oops, I'm pushing the wrong button. There we go. That places this 7. And so that removes this 7 from here. And now, okay, this is actually the first time this has happened. We've removed one of our corner marks, right? The corner mark 7 is gone. So we want to check the box to see how many 7s are remaining. How many corner mark 7s remain? There's only 1 remaining. That allows us to immediately place it as a big 7. Because what that single corner mark in the box left meant is that that was a hidden single in the box. There was only 1 single cell remaining in the whole box that could be 7, so it must be 7. So we place this 7. What do we want to do? Well, we need to follow up on the band, and we need to follow up on the stack. So let's look at the stack first. We already have all 3 7s. It did not fill up a box column, but it did cause this column to be down to 4 open cells. So we want to think about it, right? We need the one. We have the 1, 2. We need the 3, 4, 6, and 9. So we know this one can't be 6 or 9, so it's down to 3, 4. This one can't be 9, so this is down to 3, 4, 6. Not 9, 3, 4, 6. And this one can't be 6, so it's 3, 4, 9. Now, one thing that we want to notice, either we can notice we got a triple here, but it may be easier to notice, is that we did not mark 6 into any of these cells except one of them. So we have a hidden single in the column. There's only 1 cell in this whole column that can be 6, so it must be 6. So we can place the 6 right there. These are not 6s anymore. We're going to want to remember to follow up on the band here. I'm going to take a quick glance. I don't think there's really anything to follow up on in the band, so I think we're good to just ignore that for now. Now, we got this 7. We were following up on the stack. I'm not seeing anything else to follow up with there. This box is down to 5 open cells. Okay. Now, just make sure we finished following up on getting these 7s in the band. Did we reduce any row or box to 4? We reduced this box to 4. But I will say we can hold off on that because we're already scanning this stack. We haven't finished finding duplicates in this stack. So it's not quite time to look for 4 remaining in this box yet. So we're going to hold off on that. We know we're going to get to that when we do the stack. So we don't really need to do it now. Because having too much in your follow-up stack can actually, different word for stack, having too much that you need to follow up on all at once can get a little overwhelming, and there's no reason to overwhelm ourselves right now if we know we're going to get to that anyway. So I think we're good on that band. Let's actually continue scanning this stack. So we got the 6 and 7. In fact, 6 and 7s are all done. So we just need to worry about the 2, 5, and 9. So the 5 has a buddy. Those look down. This 5 looks in. Or we can just see our center marks don't include a 5. And so we have a 5, a hidden single 5 in this box. Let's follow up on that. It has a buddy. There's a 5 somewhere down here. Did we reduce any row or box down to 4 or fewer? It does not look like we did. We also didn't fill up this box row. So I think that's it for following up on that 5. We also have the 2 and the 9. There is no follow-up on the 2 or the 9 as far as I can tell. Or no buddy. Did we fill up a box column? No, we did not. Just double checking something. Yeah, I don't think there's anything to find with that. Okay. And did we get any columns or boxes down to 4 or fewer? Excuse me. I'm allergic to that, apparently. So this box is down to 4. Let's take a look at it now. Remember, I said we'd get to it. So this is down to 1, 3, 4, and 8. Well, this cell can't be 3 or 4, so this is down to 1, 8 only. Every time I pencil a cell, I'm looking around to see if it does anything. This cell can't be a 1, so we're down to... wait, hold on. What was this? Right, we needed an 8 in this box. I just noticed we have this 8 here looking in. So 8's going to end up in one of these 2 cells. What did we need? We needed 1, 3, 4, and 8. So this can't be the 1 or the 8. So this is 3, 4 only. This also can't be 8. So this is 1, 3, 8. And this can't be 1. So this is 3, 4, 8. So we're looking for any patterns here, like restricted digits, digits that line up in a row, for example. The only thing I'm seeing is that the 8's in one of these 2. I guess the 1 is in one of these 2 as well. So we can corner mark that as well. The 3's and the 4's are all in these 3 cells, so it's not helpful. Now we got some penciled digits. Want to see if that does anything. I'm not seeing it. This column is down to 4. It's going to be the 3, 4, 8, 9. This cell can't be the 9, so this is 3, 4, 8. We're, of course, on the lookout to see if we restricted the 9s at all. It doesn't look like we did. Okay. So that should do it for our initial scanning, and we did not finish the puzzle. So what we're going to do next is we're going to go box by box, and we're going to see if we missed anything a little bit more subtle per box. Now, we don't really care too much about boxes that we've already mostly marked up or fully marked up. I would call this box fully marked up. We just didn't mark this one. This was down to 4, 5, 8, 9 in all of them. And so we're looking for things internal to the box still, and we didn't find anything internal to the box. So this next scan, we're looking box to box, but we're looking for restrictions within that box that we may not have noticed looking at bands and stacks in isolation. It's going to be a combination of like rows and columns looking in. So we already know everything we need to know about this box, so we're not going to learn anything, so we can skip it. Now this box, what I'm going to be doing is I'm going to be looking at groups of givens, so pairs of givens, pairs of I'm going to call this a given at this point, pairs of digits that had our placed, pairs of placed digits if you prefer. Anyway, we're going to look for pairs of those like this, right? And we're going to look to see especially important are ones that are sharing a row or column. So these 2 share a column. And because they share a column, I'm going to mark these green so we know what we're looking at. There's going to be one row that they don't occupy. We want to check if that row has any digits that aren't already in the box. And in this case, yes, we have a 2 that's not already in the box. Then we're going to look down here at the 2 columns that they don't occupy, and we're going to look for a 2. And unfortunately, we don't see one. This could end up a 2, but we don't know. Could also end up a 3, so it's not helpful. So in that case, we didn't find anything. All we found was that the 2 is reduced to these 3 cells, which is true, but not useful. This 6, 3, we're going to look down here. The 8 is not already placed, but we would need an 8 either here or here, and we do not have one. So that's also not helpful. Okay, we keep looking. So this 6, 7, we could look to see if any of these were helpful for the 6, 7 in this one singular row and column, but there is not. There's no repeated digit that's useful. Okay, now we're going to look at this box. This box, we're already well aware of what's going on, so we're going to move on. This box, we don't know a whole lot about. So this 1, 9, we'd look in this row. The 4 is a possibility, and so is the 2. So we look for a 2 or a 4 up here, and actually we see a 2. I'm not seeing any 4s, so we'll just do it to the 2. So what does this do? Well, this 2 looks in, and this 2 looks in. Now, if I use different colors here, let's use green for this, and this 2, let's make that gray, and this 2, let's make that gray. So the 2's in conjunction are always going to make 5 of the cells, not 2, in that box. You can see how I made 5 cells gray. They're going to overlap in one cell, so it's not quite all 6, right? 3 for the row, 3 for the column. Sorry, 3 for the row, 3 for the column, but they overlap in one cell. But all 5 of those will not touch the green cells because of the way we looked for them. We looked for them in the rows and columns that the green cells weren't in. If they're not in the same row or column, then that means they are not going to touch it when they look in. And so this is 2 more cells that can't be 2. So that for a total of 7 cells in this box that can't be 2, if we do 9 minus 7, that means there's 2 more cells left that can't be 2, and only 2. And we can corner mark that. That allows us to corner mark 2s in this box. When we didn't find it through buddies, we didn't find it by only looking at bands and stacks. We had to look at both the band and the stack simultaneously. And by focusing on where we're most likely to get joy out of that, get something useful out of that, then we only find the most useful ones, or we only have to look for the most useful ones. And so what does this do? Well, this causes pointing that removes 2 from here, and it has a buddy 2 up here. And so that's going to put a 2 in one of these 2 as well. So these cells cannot be 2 anymore, and that's an important thing to remember, which is what our corner marks are trying to remind us of. All right. Very handy. So this isn't a 2, this isn't a 2. I'm briefly looking at how that might affect this row or the box, and I'm not seeing an immediate effect there. So now we can just keep going. This 7, 8, we would look for, say, a buddy 6, and we actually have one. So this 6 looks in, this 6 looks in. Oh no, sorry, the buddy 6 is unfortunately in line with the 7, 8, so that's not helpful. We need to find it over here, or up here, and we do not find it. So the 6 is actually limited to these 3, so not helpful. Now we can look for on the 9, 8 here, the 1 or the 7. Unfortunately, those are already placed. We can look at for this 1, 7 as well, but we're not going to find it. This column doesn't have anything to give us. Okay, so we're going to move on. This 4, 7. We already have the 6s marked here. The 1, though? No, we don't have a 1 over here. Okay, so I think that's all we're going to find there. This box, we already know what's going on, so nothing to do there. This box here, we do have this 5, 6, but unfortunately 6 and 7 are already in the box. Is there anything with this that might be helpful? See, this box row, we already looked for helpful, for anything helpful in these rows, and we didn't find anything beyond the 9 that we already marked. So that's not going to be helpful. So I think this box, it doesn't have anything for us to look for at the moment. So how about this one? So the 7 and 8, we already have 6, 7. 5 would be really the only thing that's actually useful to think about, I think. And we already have the 5s marked. So finally, this box here. We find this 8 here, but there's no 8 up here to join it. Anything else? The 1? Yes, so the 1 looks in, and this 1 looks down. This is going to be finally super helpful, right? These aren't 1, so there's only 2 places in this box that can be 1. We found that crossing on this 5, 7. So 1's in one of these 2, and that's going to point and say that this cell and this cell can't be 1. Well, if this cell can't be 1, why do I have it centered and corner marked? Well, I shouldn't. I can remove those. Doing so should trigger 2 things in our mind. One is, this cell is now a naked single. Naked is a term we use to mean that we're looking at the candidates remaining in the cell. So what we're saying is that there's only a single candidate remaining in this cell, and that's the 8. This cell needs to have a number in it, and the only number we can put in it is 8, so we're going to put an 8 in it. That removes this from being 8, but also we removed a 1 quarter mark, so we need to follow up on that. In this box, there's only 1 cell left that can be 1. We place that as well. Very nice. Okay, so we want to follow up on this 8 and this 1. So the 8 first. These 8s look in, it puts an 8 in one of these 2. And then the 1 does have a buddy over here, puts a 1 in one of these 2. Do we have any rows or boxes down to 4 or fewer? And the answer is yes. This row is now down to 4. What are the 4 digits? We need a 1, 3, 6, and 8. Neither of these can be 1 or 8. So we need, oh, sorry, no, I said 8, but 8 is wrong. Sorry, let's do this again. 1, 3, 5, 6. Sorry, I did that wrong. 1, 3, 5, 6. Well, these can't be 1, so these are down to 3, 5, 6. So I'm just going to center mark that. And these are down to 1, 3, 5, 6. This can't be 6 or 3, so this is 1, 5 only. I think this can be any of 1, 5, 3, 6. So we can't mark that up. Okay, so that was that row. This row is also down to 4, because we placed that digit, right? So what are we down to? We need the 2, 3, 4, and 6. This can be any of 2, 3, 4, 6, unfortunately. This can't be 3 or 6. So, this can't be 3, 4, or 6. Remember, it's 2, 3, 4, 6. Can't be 3, 4, or 6. So this can only be a 2, so it must be a 2. That's a naked single 2. Let me just go through each digit. It can't be 1. It can't be 3, 4. It can't be 5, 6, 7, 8, or 9. So if this cell can't be any of those 8 digits, it must be the one I missed, which is the 2. That means this corner mark 2 is no longer valid. And so now we can place 2 in this box. Very nice. So we're starting to have more and more things to follow up on. This is down to 3, 4, 6. We can just mark that up. This can't be 4 because of the box. Let's see, what else did this 2 get us? Vertically, I'm not seeing anything to follow up on. This 2, vertically, we already have these 2s here. Remember, we got these quarter mark 2s because we noticed it like this, right? We noticed the crossing. So those quarter mark 2s did come in handy. Every corner mark ultimately comes in handy. That's why we do it. Now, I have a naked 3, 4 pair here that I just noticed. So why is this a naked 3, 4 pair? Well, these 2 cells, the first thing that I want you to notice about them is they are in the same row as each other. And because they are in the same row as each other, they must be 2 different digits from each other. They can't both be 3. They can't both be 4. But the only digits available to them are 3 and 4. So one of them will be 3 and one of them will be 4. Now you want to think about which cells don't care about what order they resolve in. Whether this is 3 or this is 4, which cell doesn't care? And it's these 3 cells, the ones in the same row. Because these share a row, the rest of the row does not care how these resolve. They will resolve as a 3 and a 4, meaning these cells cannot be 3 or 4. And so if they're not 3 or 4, they're down to 3 open digits. And it's going to be the 5, 8, and 9. I'm just going to fill that out. This one's not 9, this one's not 8. Now, if these are 5, 8, 9, first of all, I can get rid of the corner marks now because this is a naked triple. It works exactly the same way as the pair. These 3 digits they must be 3 distinct numbers from each other. We cannot repeat the 5, we can't repeat the 8, we can't repeat the 9. But there are only 3 digits available to them, the 5, 8, and 9. If you inspect, this is only 5, 8, this is only 5, 8, 9, this is only 5, 9. If you sort of tally what numbers did I uniquely just say, it's only the 5, 8, and 9. So you can kind of see that this is a 5, 8, 9 triple. And who doesn't care about what order they resolve in? Well, they share a row and they share a box. So the row doesn't care, but that doesn't do anything. But the box also doesn't care how they resolve. They're going to end up 5, 8, 9. These cells cannot be 5, 8, 9. So this cell actually cannot be a 5. So it must be a 1. If it's not a 5, the only option it has left is 1. We can place the 1 there. And now this is down to 3, 6 only. Now this is a 3, 6 pair. So that is going to remove 3 and 6 from the rest of the column. That does leave a bit too many cells remaining, so we're just going to have to try to remember that 3, 6 pair. This one doesn't care. It already couldn't be 3, 6. This one cares. It can't be 3 anymore. Maybe that's something to think about. Yeah. So if this cell can't be 3, I guess we can say that that gives a buddy to this 3, right? This 3 has a buddy down here. The buddy, we don't care which one actually ends up 3. It will still be a buddy for this 3, looking down. And that puts a 3 in one of these 2. So we can corner mark to remind ourselves. The 6, unfortunately, I mean, it is a buddy, but we already have all 3 of them. So we don't care for the stack. I noticed this stack is down to 4 or fewer. So let's this column. So let's think about what those are. We need the 4, 5, 8, 9. Neither of these can be 9. So these are, or 8. So, actually, this can't be 5, 8, or 9. So this is a naked single 4. It can only be 4, so it must be. Removes this 4. And we're left with 5, 8, 9 here. This one can't be the 9. We'll clean that up in a second. Oh, it can't be the 8 or the 9, sorry. So that makes that a 5. So these are not 5s, and that leaves a 8, 9 pair here. Sorry, I want to remove the 5 and the 8 from here. I don't know what happened. This box is now down to 3 digits. They are the 1, 2, and 3. This one can't be the 3, so it's only 1, 2, and this is down to 1, 2, 3. Okay, we're doing very well here. Let's see, 1, 2, 3, 5, 8. Let's look for low-hanging fruit here. So there's a lot to follow up on. When you get this overwhelmed and you just got a whole lot, I recommend looking for rows or boxes that are down to 4 or fewer that you may not have looked at yet or may have been updated. So for example, this cell here, it's down to 2489, but now it can't be 8. So it's down to 249. So we can mark that. What else can we do? There were these 4 left. We have the 4589. Does that get updated at all? No, it can still not be any. It can still be any of those. Okay, give me a moment. 3-4 pair, 589. Okay, this row is down to 4, so we can look at that. We want to focus on the ones that are down to the fewest, but I don't see any that are like super restricted. So we need the 1, 2, 3, and 8. So these both can't be 1, and we know this can't be a 1 either. So there's only one place in this row for 1, so we can place it. That's that 1 there. So we can get rid of that as being 1, and now we're down to 2, 3, 8, which I can mark up. This can't be 2 because of this 2 up here. We're looking to see if the 2, 3, 8 does anything, if the 3, 8 does anything. We're looking for pairs, triples. We see this pair here, so if I hadn't noticed already, we know that 2 in this row is down to only one place. We can place it. That's a hidden single 2 for the row, so that's not a 2. Now this box is down to 3, 4, 8, 9. This can't be 9, so it's 3, 4, 8. I think this can be any of 3, 4, 8, 9. Okay. Is there anything else useful to look at the moment? This column is down to 249. So I'm just going to fill 249 here. But remember, we have the 4 and the 9 corner marked up here. And if they're corner marked here, these can't be 4, 9. We need to make sure when we center mark that we respect the corner marks in the rest of the box. Remember where these came from? It came from the row. The 4 and the 9 in the row were restricted to here. So we claimed the box. So this can only be a 2. So we place the 2 there, and that resolves this triple. This is 1, 3, and 2. That removes 3 from all of these. That places the 3 in the box, giving us this 8. We can clean this up a bit. We don't need the corner marks anymore because we're just down to that triple. We can also clean these up a bit. This is down to 4, 8, 9. Let's just fill that. This 3 looks up, removing 3 from these 2. There's going to be a lot of consequences to this. This 3 also makes this a 6 and a 3, resolves this pair. That doot is just an option in the settings for a 3 in the corner effect. When you place a 3 in the corner, you can choose to have it do one of 3 things: nothing or something. there's a doot and there's a confetti. It's just a little Easter egg. So we just finished this box up because of the 3 that was placed. Over here, we got this 2, so this is the 8. That gives us the 9. So this puzzle's finishing up now. I'm just following naked singles, basically. This is 5 and 8 and 9. That's a 3 and a 6. That's a 3 and a 4. The red digits are helping me out at this point. That's a 3. Oops, sorry. And so now this is only 4, and that's a 9. We get the 4 here. We get this whole box finishes. Let's see, what else can we finish around here? I'm just going to clean up all these red marks. Okay, this is down to 2 or 5. It can't be 2, so that's 5 and 2. And for the box, we need a 1. For the row, this is an 8. That gives us the 4, 9, and 8. That gives us the 5 and the 4. Final digit is 9, and we're done. So I definitely took a systematic approach to that. It can take a while. This puzzle had a lot to look for. I think the claiming 4s and 9s here were really important when we eventually came around and found that this had to be a naked 2. We didn't find that till much, much later, and that's why we need to use the notation to remember the important things. They spawn the memory. And actually, as soon as I saw the 4 and 9 corner there, I hadn't remembered it. But when I saw that, it reminded me, oh yeah, we had the claiming 4s and 9s there. And so that makes sense why this is only a 2. So cool. Hope you enjoyed this. And if you did, then why not leave a like, subscribe, and a kind comment below.